Shauna and Heidi have mentioned it a ton of times. This really truly is about conversations with your administrator. Opening up lines of conversation, having them anytime, and just having a really good back and forth conversation with them. So,
and you're also working as a team. So I know that those people who are first year teachers are like, it's us against them. Because I can get that. You know, when I was in my first year, I just wanted to kind of stay under the radar. And if they said do this, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'm still that way to some degree. But on the old evaluation, it just was, they sat on one side of the table and I sat on the other, and they told me all these things that I did. I didn't really feel like I had much input other than the conversation that the lessons that they had seen. But I've been on this now since it started, and I like it a lot better because we're sitting together instead of across the way. We might be sitting next to each other and talking about my student growth, and it's just a totally different feeling. So if your administrator says, well, I never saw any of your, I didn't see this particular thing, and you say, well, yeah, I did that, I did it here and here and here, and they go, oh, okay, and so you're working together for the common good, not them against you, and I can't just stress that enough, that is a totally different feeling, and I really like it, because I feel like we're all in the same game together, working towards student achievement.
That's a really good chance for them to get to know you better too. Just sitting down, having those informal conversations around your evaluation, and they get to know you as a person, and you get to know them and what their expectations are, and it's just intended to help you be a better teacher. So
I would also say these are ideas of kind of almost more formal conversations. Conversations with the principal can take place anywhere. I remember having conversations during passing periods. They're walking by and I'll be like, hey, guess what I'm doing? And I'd like bring her in and show her something really cool. And then later she'd be doing the evaluation part of it, and she'll say she didn't see this or that. I'm like, remember, we talked about it. It was during passing period. And so far, I've had 2 different administrators on this plan, and both of them have been like, oh yeah, that was great. So it doesn't have to be super formalized. Any little chat you have with them can count as evidence too, so that's kind of nice.
And sometimes you're not going to the administrator's office to have these conversations. For example, my principal said one year, I don't know how much parent communication you're doing, and I said, well, it's on my computer because I save all of that communication, and I have a book that when I make phone calls, I document and everything. Would you like to come on down and see that documentation? And he said, oh, no, I believe you. And I said, well, okay, it's available to you if you'd like to see it. So you might want to, if you make a phone call, jot it down somewhere or put it in the computer somewhere, just so that you can say, these are the things that I've done, especially if you're wanting to be distinguished and they're saying that you're proficient, then you have some documentation to show them, saying this is all the things, and of course they have lots of people they evaluate, so they might say, wow, yeah, you certainly do way more than the average person does.
Also sit up your post-evaluation or your post-meeting is also a good time to say, here, you didn't see this before you came, this is what happened before you came in, or this is what happened after you left. You can fill in the gaps. If there's some things that you had done as in part of your lesson, but they had to leave before they saw that, you can fill in those kinds of gaps too, and they can code those things.
I'm not going to say it's never going to happen, but I will say that in my experience and with my friends that have been through this, I've never felt the principal is going to do the gotcha game with you, right? Like when she said, yeah, no, I believe you, you've got the binder. I think that they assume the best intentions for the most part. Is that 100%? No. For the most part, they're on our side, right? Because technically, I think they have to do more work, right? If you put us on basic, or don't you guys have to do more work? I do work. We don't want to do that, right? We want to do. They want us to do well, and I think that the conversations allow us to work together to see that happens.
In passing, I just tried this, and it totally blew up. Because it's just like any one of your teaching partners or colleagues, we might make a small suggestion, and we might just be able to listen. so that whenever we have another conversation, I can hear what did you do? And those conversations together are also evidence of the things that you're doing. And I think that that's a really big piece with this. It's no longer what I have physically been in that classroom for 30 minutes or 60 minutes to see myself, but it really is about that other stuff that we all do up in our heads to adjust that I can't physically see.
And they'll say things like, well, I was wondering, and that was one thing I noticed a lot, that the word wonder came into the questions. I was wondering why you might have done this rather than this, and those are good think questions that, yeah, why did I choose to do it this way rather than that way? They're not judging you, they're just had a few questions, and so they term it as, I wonder, ...
It's very non-threatening that way. You may also see I noticed as well, fill in the blank, and you try really hard.
Because it's not evaluative, as you guys did the observation earlier, and there's it's just a difference in language.